Saturday's game, first of all, very difficult to overcome a 21-0 lead. We started slow, both sides of the ball. They took their opening drive for a touchdown, and then we had the two pick-six situations in the first quarter. So I don't know what the odds are of coming back from that, but they're not good. Percentages probably less than 10% to overcome that. But our guys fought hard. We did get within reach. It seems like every time we got within striking distance, they'd put a score on the board. And I thought when we got it to 43-37 that we were going to win the football game. I really did. I thought we had momentum. I believe we got a stop after that and got the ball back. So we had possession, being down 43-37. So anyways, didn't work out. Credit them. I thought they had an outstanding plan offensively. Their quarterback is a terrific player, Connor Halliday. He's a tremendous player, and the receivers played well, and our pass coverage was not good enough. And so that was the 21-0 lead. We spotted them, and then their throw game were the two biggest factors in the football game. So give them credit, and we got to be better. We got to play better. We got to coach better, and that was the bottom line of that game. But like I said, very proud of the way our guys continued to fight and slug it out and had a chance at the end and couldn't get it done. So moving on to Colorado, obviously the last game of the year, seniors' last game in Rice-Eccles Stadium, and that's the objective now, is to try to send the seniors out on a positive at home in their final game. And Colorado, they got a terrific receiver in Richardson. He's exceptional ball player. In fact, he's second only to Cooks in the conference in yardage and in reception. So he's a guy that's made a lot of plays for him this year, and so we've got to try to have an answer for him. So questions?
You mentioned that the pass coverage was an area of concern against Washington State. Colorado has a really tough receiver that's had several good games this season. What do you need to do to kind of contain him?
Well, he is, like I said, a great player and having a great year for him. And so we've got to come up with ways. I mean, there's things you can do. You can double cover a receiver. You can roll the coverage to him. You can put a particular guy on him, assign a matchup. So there's different ways to do that. We're still in the planning stages right now. I don't have a specific answer for you right now. If I did, I wouldn't give it to you. But we're working on that. So, but he's a concern.
Coach, a two-part question here. When you look at this season and how you've been so close in so many games, into the end of the season, do you say, hey, we just need to tweak a few things, or are you looking at, we need to make some major overhauls, and how much can this game this week affect that one way or the other?
Well, we'll certainly look at the entire body of work once the season's over with and evaluate. And if there's changes that need to be made, we'll make those changes. And so I don't have an answer for you right now. It's a work in progress. I'm evaluating constantly my own personal self week in and week out and after each game. But what we'll do is sit down after the season's complete and take a look at our deficiencies and what our strengths were and where we need to improve and adjust accordingly.
Coach, on the secondary, how big of an issue was it with no Davian Orfe out there, and was Justin Thomas not 100%?
Well, we're certainly a better secondary with Davion. He's one of our starting corners, and so we wish that we would have had his services, especially against a four-wide receiver team like Washington State's that puts so much skill on the field. Justin got nicked up a little bit, but he's a tough kid. He continued to play, and hopefully he'll be okay for this week. It's not for certain, but hopefully he'll be okay. And hopefully we'll have Davion back. That's maybe being a little bit optimistic, but we're hoping for that.
Can you talk about Jake Murphy's progress? He had over 100 yards receiving against Washington State. How has he progressed since that, coming back from the hand injury, in your opinion?
He's a great player and a big part of our offense, and has been a big positive for us to have him back. He had the 5 catches, actually drew a couple more pass interference calls, which netted us more yardage. So his impact was very much felt in this football game. He's still not able to use his hand or his wrist like he normally would. It still limits him a little bit, but as you could see in the game, he's a weapon for us, and was one of our bright spots on offense.
Coach, you've talked about for weeks about trying to get to a bowl game now that that's out. You talk about the disappointment, first time in 15 years he missed back-to-back. Obviously, it's different competition now, but how do you get to keep the guys motivated for this week? Is it really send the seniors out right, or they're playing for next year's jobs as well, things like that?
It's all about the seniors and sending them out the right way. And if this crew was going to fold their tent, they would have done it long ago. And that's not a concern. I believe this is a very tough, resilient group that has fought all season long, and we expect no different mentality this week. And it is, in fact, about getting the seniors out of here on a winning note. That's our main focus.
Kyle, can you talk about this senior class, just some specific things about them, maybe unique qualities?
Well, they've provided great leadership for us all season long. I've bragged on them in that respect all year as far as making sure things are done the right way as far as practice and how we conduct ourselves off the field. And there's been some headliners there. Trevor Riley has been a great leader for us. JT Tofoiano, Tenny Palapoy, and not only on the field but off the field as well, as I mentioned. It's been a fun group to be around. We're going to miss them. I mean, there's a lot of good football players in that group. Kelvin York, who had his best game as a Ute Saturday, and so it's been a you coach to be around quality people, and this group of seniors is quality people.
I was going to ask you about Trevor specifically. Where do you think his place in Ute history is? I mean, he's obviously one of the premier players that's come through the program in recent years.
Yeah, statistically, I haven't really looked at it to see where he stacks up against some of the guys that have come through here. I'm sure we'll take a look at that after the season and as we evaluate. But he's been a big play guy for us for a lot of years now. Very versatile. Has spent the whole season bouncing back from defensive end and linebacker, depending on who we're playing, and really has been an impact guy for us all season long and last year as well and the year before.
Kyle, now that you know you're not going to a bowl game, how can you quantify the negative effect in terms of not getting that revenue from a bowl game, lost exposure, and how it might affect in recruiting?
Well, as far as revenue, you lose money on just about every bowl game unless you go to the BCS. And so the bowl games that are non-BCS are really a deficit situation, and so that's not a factor. But missing practice, it's like a spring ball, an extra spring ball that you get when you prepare for a bowl. And so that is a big negative. We're able to try to offset that a little bit in the weight room, get the guys in the weight room during that period of time and get them bigger and stronger. But there really is no substitute for on-field practice, and so we try to do the best we can. But it is something that you don't want to have happen. Now it's happened to us twice now in successive years.
Has Adam shown you enough to think there's some promise there?
He certainly grew as a quarterback, I believe, from last week to this week. And even though the first, the couple pick sixes, one was not his fault. It was a deflected pass again, which we've seen several times this year. A lot of quarterbacks would not have been able to respond from that and play the way he did. He ended up throwing for over 300 yards and taking care of the football the rest of the way. And so to answer your question, we've seen growth in Adam. That growth needs to continue. And we've got some good quarterbacks in the program that are redshirting, and so it'll be very competitive this spring in that position group.
You brought Travis on the road with you. Is he going to be on the sideline again? And is there any further update on his condition?
Yeah, he'll be on the sideline again. There won't be update, like I said, for months. It's a minimum of 3 months before we'd even know anything else, and so that won't be anything to talk about there. But I think he was a definite help for our football team, particularly to Adam on the sidelines, and we thought enough of that situation to use one of our. You have 70 travel spots when you go to Pac-12 games, and whether you're injured or not, you count as long as you're on the trip. And so we felt that was important enough to bring Travis and utilize one of those spots. And I think he did a good job.
Is this game with Colorado a rivalry game, or is it developing into a rivalry game?
Maybe a little bit. It doesn't have the real flavor of that completely, but I think it's starting to become, with the game positioned at the end of the season and where it is geographically. I guess that's the closest school to us geographically in the conference. And so I think that's maybe the beginnings of one. I wouldn't say it's a full-on rivalry, though, not at this point in time.
So after a disappointing season, do you look back and think, man, it'd be nice to have BYU in this position here at the end of the season and play that game?
No, I don't even think about that at all.
Give you more to
No.
play for on the last game? No.
No, there's no more to play for there than any other game. So,
Coach, looking back a little bit over the season, are there any couple sticking points or games where you're thinking, man, if we had just done this or this, maybe we wouldn't be in this position now?
pretty much every game, yeah, every loss, anyways. It's you can point to the losses and it's a couple plays here or there, and that's usually that is what close games come down to, is those 3 or 4, sometimes 5 momentum type changing plays or plays that decided the game. And as you look back, UCLA right down to the wire there, had the last chance, couldn't get it done. Arizona State couldn't hold the lead, had a 12-point lead, I think it was, in the fourth quarter. Arizona were ahead in the third quarter. We surged ahead 21-20 and weren't able to generate any offense after that. And so other than even in Oregon, midway through the third, we cut it to 17-14. So there's a lot of that going on in my mind. I mean, it seems like every game that's been the case, and this past week was no different. When we cut it to 43-37, like I said, I thought we had the momentum. We're going to pull that one out, and so think about that all the time.
Kyle, speaking of which, I mean, this is uncharted waters for a 5-game skid, first time in your head coaching career. And that, how you handling this? This has got to be new territory for you.
Yeah, you got to handle it. It's a competitive profession, and we're in a competitive league. And certainly huge disappointment for me personally, and I take it personally, and it's on my shoulders. I mean, I'm in charge of this program, and so there's nowhere to point the finger but right here, and all you can do is keep working and keep searching for answers and keep trying to get things headed back in the right direction.
Keith McGill got an invite to the Senior Bowl. Big deal for him, big deal for the team. Can you talk about the progress he's made during the course of the season to be able to get an honor like that?
Yeah, I feel excited for Keith and the way that he responded to the position change and embraced his new role and really did a fine job. I mean, he was very good on Saturday as well. He's been he's exceeded my expectation. I knew he could be a very good corner, but he's really played exceptionally well and played himself into the Senior Bowl, as you mentioned, which is a great honor, and obviously a chance to play further in his career. And that's the in vogue thing now in the NFL is the big corner, and he fits that mold to a T, and so he's going to have some opportunity there. We also have a couple other guys that are on the bubble. I won't name names for the Senior Bowl and for some postseason All-Star games, and so we're hoping that we can get a couple more represented in those games.
I know you've talked a lot about the resiliency of this team and how you don't think they would have folded by now if they were going to. But do you still have meetings? Or are you still watching for that in practice just to make sure they are kind of dialed in for Saturday?
Oh, sure. That's a week-to-week thing. Regardless of how the season's going, you continue your process and how you prepare and your routine. And so, absolutely, yeah, we continue that, and that doesn't change, win or lose.
Kyle, just to take that one step further, and you mentioned a second ago, you said the phrase pointing fingers. And what does it say about this team that after the game, even though you said Adam Schultz, the one pick wasn't his fault, but you said it's on me, and Trevor Riley said, it's on the defense, that none of them ever point the finger?
That's the kind of guys they are. They're team guys. They love each other, and we have a genuine family atmosphere on this football team that really it's very unified. There's that's just how it is, and that's the chemistry, I guess is the word I'm looking for. The chemistry on this team is outstanding, and that's another credit to that senior class. I mean, the senior class typically sets the tone for things like that, and they've done a great job in that area.
Such a long off season. How important is it to end it this season with a win instead of everyone talking about a 6-game losing streak going?
Yeah, it would be certainly a positive thing, and that's what we're aiming towards, and that always gives you a better feeling going into the off season, regardless how the season's gone, is to end on a positive. And that's why back in the bowl situations we've had so much success, in that being the last game of the year, which is carried into the off season. And so I think it's important to win that last game regardless of circumstances. Thanks, guys.